Hi friends, welcome back to the Daily Bible Project podcast, episode 206. And we're together here in season 2 of our journey together through the book of Genesis, which will hopefully lead on to a chapter by chapter, verse by verse journey through the whole Bible. And we're in part 137, looking at this passage in Genesis chapter 18, which I'm calling today's short message, A Conversation with Deity. So you remember last time that we established that these three men who appeared at the tent of Abraham are the Lord himself and two angels. So let's begin by reminding us of what Abraham says to them. He said, "I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord. Do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed and then go on your way. Now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." In other words, Abraham is seen here to extend hospitality to them, expressing it by offering to wash their feet and giving them something to eat. So he invites them in, and they say yes. And then the text continues in verse 8, and it tells us, "So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. 'Quick,' he said, 'get 3 seahs of the finest flour and knead it and bake some bread.' Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice, tender calf, and gave it to his servant, who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk, and the calf that had been prepared. He set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree." So these verses tell us that Abraham tells Sarah to hurry and prepare some bread, which was the equivalent of Bible times, I suppose, of fast food. It told us earlier in the passage that it was the heat of the day, meaning it was probably mid-afternoon. And you see, this is indirectly telling us that this is the time of day when there wouldn't normally be bread available. Bread wasn't usually cooked until later for the evening meal. So the reason he's telling her to do this now is because he wants there wouldn't be any bread ready to serve straight away. So he says to her, "We have some visitors, so go make some bread." And while she is doing that, he then runs to the herd and picks out the best calf, and he gives it to one of the servants to prepare for the evening feast. Please note, only on special occasions did people eat beef at that time. Therefore, Abraham must have viewed this as a very significant special event. So the fatted calf is sent for, meaning he selected the best calf, and he tells one of his young men to prepare the calf in butter and milk and serve it. And as it is served to the three, Abraham stands nearby, in a sense almost waiting upon them, and he's standing nearby under a tree. Now, I'd like to just pause for a moment and talk about the fact that a lot of attention is given in this passage to the fact that what they were eating and how they were being treated as special guests. And I think this is not to be overlooked. You might say it's a critical part of the passage. So why labour the point that they ate so well? Now, I'm not alone in suggesting that the significance that lies in this is the fact that they are seen to be having fellowship. One commentator I read said, and I quote, "Eating together was a sign of intimate fellowship," friendship, in other words, in Abraham and in the culture that was prevalent at Abraham's time. So you see, they're eating together in fellowship, akin in a sense to sitting down together and eating and treating people as friends. Now, in John 15, Jesus is referenced talking about friendship. And he says this in John 15, verse 14. He says, "You are my friends if you do what I command you." So you see, this suggests to me there's a difference between being a believer and being a friend. To be a believer in Jesus Christ, we just have to trust in him. But to be a friend of Christ, we have to go beyond that, and we have to start to obey the Lord also. And then Jesus, in that passage talking in John, went on to say, "No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing, but now I call you friends. For all things that I heard from my Father, I have made known to you. You see, that's what happens when you have fellowship with the Lord. The Lord begins to reveal himself more and more to you like a friend. Now, would you like to be friends with the Lord? Well, Abraham did, and the tenor of this passage suggests that Abraham knew that the Lord and the two other angels must have come with some special message. His eagerness, we see him running around getting this fellowship meal prepared, I think implies that he was eager to know if they'd come to give him some kind of special message, a special message which he was clearly keen to hear. Abraham really wants to know what's going to happen and what they're going to say. But before finishing this section today, I just want to pause for a moment and say that God also wants to have fellowship with you. God would love to sit down and, in a sense, have dinner with you, so to speak. The Lord really wants to have fellowship with you and I today. He wants to reveal his word to you, to share stuff with you, to share his plans with you, to sit down and sup with you, as it says in the book of Revelation. Interested? Would you like to do that? Well, to begin that process, spend time with the Lord. Spend time in his word, spend time in prayer, and the Lord God will reveal his truth to you. No question of that. That's the promise throughout the whole Bible. But in order to go into deeper and deeper into that friendship, when the Lord reveals stuff to you, you must begin to become obedient to him. And that's how we go from being a servant to a friend. Now that's the first part of the passage, and now it gets real. In verse 9 and 10, we'll see how Abraham responds and what is revealed to him. And we'll pick that up in the next episodes. I hope you can join with me then. I'd just like to remind you that there's transcripts of each and every one of these podcasts available in the episode notes of any audio version of the podcast that you might listen to. But other than that, that's it for today. Join me again tomorrow on the Daily Bible Project podcast. Bye-bye for now.